Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AAC Spring 2026 meeting. I am going to start with just getting some introductions from our Kentucky Department of Ed Office of Educator Licensure and Effectiveness crew, and then I will hand the meeting over to Dr. Bay Williams, who will allow the committee to introduce themselves, and then we will carry on with our lengthy agenda. So welcome. I'm Dr. Melissa Diebel, and oversee ed prep things in our office, and I'll throw it over to Dr. Brewer.
Good afternoon. I'm Meredith Brewer. I am the Associate Commissioner in the Office of Educator Licensure and Effectiveness. And Division Director Davis, if you could introduce yourself.
Helps if I unmute, sorry. I'm Todd Davis. I'm the Director of Educator Preparation and Certification in OELE, and it's good to see everyone today, and I'll turn it over to Miss Whitney Crow.
Thank you, Todd. Good afternoon. I'm Whitney Crow. I am Deputy General Counsel here at the Kentucky Department of Education. I joined the team on April the 1st, so just last month, and I'm excited to observe my first AAC committee today and look forward to working with each of you. So thank you so much.
Kim?
I am Kim Arrington, and I work with the new educator preparation programs under Melissa and Todd and Meredith.
Mike?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Mike Nelson. I work as an education program manager with continued programs and also the out-of-state applications as well.
And Lexi, Dr. Bay Williams, Lexi will be doing our minutes too. So if you need anything from her, she'll be able to help you with that. So Lexi, you can introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Lexi. I'm the administrative assistant for educator prep. So I help with all of those things. So happy to be here.
All right. Thank you, OELE team, for being here. And we'll hand it over to Dr. Bay Williams to start the meeting.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you also for all the time you spent reviewing the materials that we're about to go through. We will go program by program as the agenda has, and I'll pause between each program so that you can find which of your 50 tabs you need to access if your desktop looks anything like mine right now. So let's see, we're going to begin with approving the minutes, and they are in the folder.
I move that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, and Lexi, you're capturing all this. Perfect. We have a motion.
Second, Kesey.
And all in favor, you can just sort of hold your hand up for a second so Lexi can kind of get a count.
Can I have a discussion? I have a discussion item. Can I just correction? Well, if it's okay.
Sure, I should have asked
absolutely.
if there's any corrections to the minutes. Sorry about that.
I was just going to
Yes,
say, in I guess when it had the program approval numbers, the vote for Western Kentucky was 5-0, and I'm from Western Kentucky, so I did not vote on that
that's
program.
right. So it should be 4-0-1.
So it should be 4-0. Yeah.
With one abstain. Thank you, Susan. I remember that.
Thanks.
Any other corrections to the minutes? But then we have a motion to approve them as revised and a second and a vote again. So in favor? And Lexi, you can see who the voters are, right? Because we have our KDE folks are not voters. And then opposed? Abstain? No, we wouldn't abstain from this one. Okay. Anyways.
Perfect. Thank you.
Minutes are approved. The next item is to set a date for our next meeting, which Melissa has wisely moved this to the beginning of the agenda instead of the end of the agenda. So we are talking about, Melissa, fall 2026, which is typically late in the semester. Do you want to give us some guidance?
So we've typically done it in December, but that seems to be difficult to find quorum. So if we want to move it to November, like we did, we moved this one up from June to May, and I think we had a much easier time. So November would probably be we can go late November. I don't know if you want to do it before Thanksgiving. And I'm pulling up my November calendar here really quick.
I'm going to propose just to start the week of November 9th to 13th. And today is a Tuesday, so I'm going to propose the same time frame. Tuesday, November 10th, 1 to 4, just to start a conversation.
Right now that works on the KDE calendar. Does that work for everyone?
I'm hearing no objections. My suggestion would be that we set that date. And then for those of us that might not know what our teaching schedules are, that we revisit this around September 1st to confirm that it still is not when somebody is teaching.
And Lexi will send the invite out to this one. So I'm going to pass that off to her. So she will be the one to contact if you need a meeting invite, or if you don't see it come through, she will set that after this meeting to put the hold on your calendar.
Okay. Calendar away, go back to the agenda. All right, so we're 10 minutes ahead of schedule. So here we go. Simmons College. I'm gonna pause for a minute for you to open up your notes and the materials from Simmons College. All right, any discussion before we call for a vote? All right, so we're basing this on the letter from AQUIP, and I'm gonna do the roll call, and then Lexi, are you writing this down and I'm just calling the names? Is that how we're doing this? Because it's gonna
Yeah, I have all the vote sheets pulled up, and I'll just put the votes
perfect.
in.
So that's great, because then I can be watching people heading on through. So it's the list of names is always in the same order. So just you can unmute yourself and you are voting yes or no. Jennifer,
Yes.
myself, Jenny, yes. Danny,
Yes.
Kevin, he's absent. Is that true?
Correct. He's not here.
Okay. Susan,
Yes.
Coletta,
Yes.
Leanne,
She
also
is not
absent.
present.
Okay, I've got my roll call up, so I can't see everybody's faces.
Yeah, nope, that's okay.
And Veronica.
She is also absent.
Okay, I thought that might be the case. Okay, I won't call this. Is it okay then, going forward, I don't call those names because they're not present?
Correct.
Right, okay. Just make sure I'm following the right protocol. All right, so so this program is approved with a vote of 5-0. Is that what you had, Lexi? All right, first one. Just want to make sure we're, following it correctly.
Good
Melissa,
job. Congratulations, Simmons. They will be a
Congratulations,
spotlight in
Simmons.
our
Do we have
June-
Simmons folks on the call? I'm not sure.
We don't, but they are watching. So
Oh, fantastic. Okay, well, congratulations to Simmons College. All right, committee members, we are going to the next one on the list. So I'll again be quiet for a minute. It's Morehead State for initial and advanced. right. If you need more time, just say so. I'm going to do roll call. Well, first of all, I'm going to ask if there's any questions about Morehead State or discussion points. All right, so based on the letter that we reviewed, we are voting on the initial and advanced certification programs. Jennifer,
Yes.
Jenny, yes. Danny,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Coletta.
Yes.
Wonderful. So the initial and advanced certification programs for Morehead State have been approved. Congratulations to Morehead State.
Congratulations, Morehead.
Right. Next up is Kentucky Christian University. And in this case, we are having a discussion about the AFI that they are that they prepared a rationale for clearing. So I'll give you a minute to pull up the Kentucky Christian University materials.
And Jenny, if we need to, this is new, so if we need to talk about the process, I'm happy to do so.
I think that would be great, actually.
Okay. We are going to be recommending, as you all know, because you guys, I think, requested this 2 years ago, to move away from state-only accreditation. In doing so, we need to give an opportunity for the state-only institutions to clear their AFIs and stipulations that were assessed during their state-only accreditation. And so as they move to a national accreditor, one of the steps in that transition process will be for them to kind of rectify the areas that they were supposed to improve. And so you all are the accrediting representation. You make the recommendation to EPSB. And so they are going to present to you their evidence that they feel has demonstrated that they can clear that area for improvement, as in they now meet it, or a stipulation, they now meet it. They can bring these forward until they are cleared. So you have two options. You can clear it if you feel that the evidence is sufficient to do so, or you can retain the AFI and then give feedback to them as to the rationale as to why you didn't clear it, if they need another cycle of data, if you feel that you need a report on validity or reliability. So anything that you feel you need to assist you in being able to clear that, we'll put that in the rationale. And then they can have some time, bring it back to you in November or potentially next May. And then after we kind of get some of these cleared, because several of these institutions, Kentucky Christian University only has one, but the remainder of our state-only accreditations all have AFIs, between 10 and 15 AFIs, and so many more to clear. So in order to clear them, we can send them then to AQUIP or CAPE, and whatever is left over when they're ready to move over there will become part of that accreditation cycle with the national accreditor. So we will go with their decision. This just gives the state and EPSB the right to check in on AFIs and stipulations that were assessed by EPSB instead of handing those off to the national accreditor. Did I explain that in a way that makes sense?
I think so.
So the evidence they've provided, your options, you can choose to clear it if the evidence is sufficient, or you can choose to retain it with a rationale of what they need to provide in order to clear it. So what it is that's they're still deficient in.
All right. So the AFI is in R4.2. And the floor is open for discussion. And I'm going to start, because this is for Melissa. In the statement, there's a link to two different phrases are used, cohort data and cohort response rates, but they both link to the same document. And I wondered if they had meant to link to something else, because it really is a report of response rates on both.
Let me look real quick.
Okay. while she's checking, what discussion, questions, concerns, you can just unmute and we'll just have a conversation and then we'll call the vote.
So my question is, how does this then demonstrate completer effectiveness? Because the statement says the EPP now meets the required number of respondents for reporting completer effectiveness. So when reading that analysis, it gives this is a percentage of students who completed, this is a percentage of, so I understand that, but is that all we need?
So he wrote, and Jenny, I think he did write one statement, but felt it addressed both issues or both topics. So sorry, I was looking at that. Jennifer, what was you asked if that was sufficient?
If
Yeah, she's asking, sorry, let me paraphrase. She said if they're providing response rates, is that addressing the AFI that is stated?
So I think that their understanding with their AFI was that and we are welcome to table it and bring Jason in. He wasn't able to be at this one, but we could bring him in the fall. But their response rates, they didn't have any. It was a new thing they were doing and they hadn't received any responses. So now they have a regular collection of responses. They're a small institution, as we hear. So they will have low response rates in the sense that they might only have 2 or 3 that actually do the survey because they only have maybe 6 people that graduate. So it'll take them a significant amount of time in order to get to an end that can really be usable. And so I know that's how Jason was explaining that now they are getting response rates. It may take, and I think they're going to evaluate things every 3 years, depending on the numbers. In order to get the numbers, they have to be able to evaluate them. But we can.
So I noticed in their 3rd year, I don't know if they're counting back, so the 3rd year is the oldest, but the 3rd year they had no responses.
Yeah, I think that was when it was new. And like I said, you guys are welcome to table and, retain it. And then he can come to the November meeting and be able to answer further questions.
Yeah, I mean, my sense is that response rates is not enough to address the AFI. But it's very likely that what they were told is you need to get a higher response rate for your data to have meaning. And so that's like step 1. So in the spreadsheets, they have, if you scroll over, they have an average of like how each candidate did, but I don't really see that there's enough, even with, it's still not a great response rate, but I don't see that they've actually spoken to what the AFI says around the effectiveness. So that was also a concern of mine. And if I could add to that, is surveying your graduates about their perceived preparation an adequate data source? Because if we're providing feedback to them, it would include, for me, including to continue to increase their response rates, an analysis of the data that they do have in terms of effectiveness. And then the third thing I'm just not sure about is whether they need another data source on effectiveness than just asking the teacher, hey, do you think you're good at these standards things? So, but that third thing I want to ask, because I don't want to hold them to a different standard than we do other programs. So it's kind of a question to those folks here that have more experience with program review.
That was my concern, was, are they really speaking to, if you're speaking directly to, we're collecting response rates, that's great, because you're moving toward, but are you completing what the actual R 4.2 is wanting us to do? is that analysis, even if you have a low response rate, what things are they saying? Are there things that they're saying that are repeated? How can that be? You know, have you talked about those things? Have you discussed those things? And I was kind of looking for that in that analysis and didn't see any of that. So that was my question to you all as it was Jenny's.
So our other three committee members, do you have insights or thoughts you want to add to this?
I guess I would agree with the need for like an additional source from employers and other things like that versus just student responses. I didn't know if those are somewhere else, but I definitely feel like there needs to be some kind of outside source other than just the students themselves.
And he might have that too, so we can clarify and definitely ask him to provide that, because that might be something he has. I haven't asked for it. Coletta, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Oh, that's all right. I think with CAPE, the teaching effectiveness is maybe 4.1 completer satisfaction but I think there's probably too much emphasis just on the response rate. There needs to be some analysis with it.
Okay.
Lexi, did you get those notes?
Yeah, I'll rewatch some of it later to get some more details.
Okay.
But yes.
Any other discussion on the AFI clearance for Kentucky Christian University? So we have a voting page here, and here the responses are clear or retain. Okay. So I gotta find my list names.
Is table also an option?
Oh, sorry. You did mention that, Melissa.
So yeah, well, and that would just be retaining it. We'll
Retain. Okay.
Yeah, we would retain it, and then they'll address the things that are missing, and then we can so yeah, yeah, Jenny, I think we're either clearing it or we're essentially not clearing it, so we're retaining it.
And if we're retaining it into our November meeting where perhaps a representative from the institution can report back on these missing the missing
Yep,
information.
they can provide additional evidence for you all. So the things you've requested, they can provide those additional pieces of evidence that you can review prior to the meeting. And then you can also be present at the meeting to answer any questions.
And so is it automatic that if we retain it, they automatically go on to the next meeting's agenda?
No, they will have to submit a new document with evidence to indicate that because it might be that if you ask for more cycles of data, that they can't do it by the next meeting. So it kind of depends on the AFI. So yeah, so I do believe that he will go in November, because this is, I'm sure he has something that he can speak to or something he can put into this. But if someone else has nothing and they need time to get things together, it may not be in the next meeting, perhaps.
Okay, thank you.
Trying to model wait time, which is always hard in a virtual meeting. But if there's no further discussion, I'm going to move to the voting. This is the last call for input. All right, so it's clear or retain, which means table. All right, Jennifer.
Retain.
Jenny, retain. Danny.
Retain.
Susan.
Retain.
Coletta.
Retain.
All right, so we are going to request that they provide more analysis of the data that they have provided, encouraged to continue to work on that response rate, and then offer evidence beyond an alumni survey. All right. That takes us to Midway University. Midway University has a page of AFIs, and they have links there. So I'm going to give you a minute to get your materials ready for that. And then we will go AFI by AFI, unless Melissa tells me differently.
We do have another member of Midway that is going to be jumping in. Oh, here she is.
Okay.
Okay, so the Midway team is here. And so I'll let you guys review and gather your questions, and they will be ready to answer questions.
All right. Committee members, just say you need more time if you need more time to pull open your tabs for this review. And if we need to pause partway through, we can do that as well.
And Jenny, real quick, so for the Midway team, what the committee will be deciding is to retain or to clear. If they decide to retain, it does not mean that you have nothing there. It just means that they will need some maybe additional clarification. If they can't get it through answers, it might be that they want some additional information from you all, and you will be able to provide that in a future meeting. So don't feel like you've got to pull stuff up and show anybody right now. So what is submitted is what they'll review. And then if there's anything missing, then the committee will let you know what it is, and we'll submit it in November. So I just don't want anybody to feel like they've got to have their files open and start showing the committee things. So, okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you for explaining that, and welcome to the team that's here for the discussion. We know there's what's happening, and then there's what gets reported on what's happening. And so sometimes it's just that what's reported isn't, enough for us to make sense of, what's actually happening. So that's why there could be a retain there. All right, so I'm going to start with the first AFI in Standard 1, 1.2, and I'm not going to read it because I believe everyone has it. Is that fine, Melissa? I'm just thinking of if people are listening to this, they're able to look these up so they know which standard we're talking about.
Yeah, they can request that information from me too, if you don't want to read them all.
Okay. So it is standard 1.2, and the floor is open for discussion.
I do have a question about, there's a statement that says these units include pre and post assessment results to demonstrate student learning outcomes. Can you explain how these results are analyzed by pre-service candidates?
Yes. Hi, it's Sue Lasky speaking. These results are often analyzed in collaboration, initially by the candidate themselves, but oftentimes it's in collaboration with the supervising and the cooperating teacher, and particularly the person who's overseeing their student teaching. And this is largely it's not so much for competence as much as it is to help I'm going to call them our newbies, to help our candidates understand the complexities in doing these kinds of analyses. And the types of pre-post data vary according to whether or not the school is using a prescribed curriculum that has pre-established pre-post assessments, or whether there's more flexibility. So it's not that the pre-post assessment is going to be standardized across every school setting. Does that help?
Yes, so I have a follow-up. Do they then transfer that knowledge into their instruction? Do they use that for any further, or do they just analyze the data with their cooperating teacher?
Okay. The direct way for me to answer that is to say that as a program, we have done an extensive amount of reorganizing to really focus on using formative assessment as a way to inform instruction. And the way I was taught is that any result from a summative assessment can also be used as a formative assessment to inform where the next step in the learning continuum occurs. And what we've seen is quite a bit of growth in our candidates' abilities to understand how to use formative assessment, including what I like to call is on the spot diagnostics. So as you're floating your room, you're hearing the conversations. Where are the misunderstandings and how do you address those? That
Okay,
is
I'm gonna pause us right here. In a matter of process, I think that, and this is a question to Melissa, but I think our process is for the committee to discuss what we have in writing. And if it isn't sufficient, what we receive to review, we vote on that. And this follow-up, if we don't have enough evidence, this kind of follow-up is what they would present like a follow-up meeting. I'm just worried about like the time for this meeting. And also now she's mentioning things that we don't have in evidence. So thank you, Sue. I really do want to hear, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm just being the chair of the committee. And so I'm just going to say that I think we have to base our decision-making on what we received. But I'm asking Melissa, is it okay to ask the people present for clarification? Because we have 14 of these to go through. So I just want to right now just ask for a clarification.
Yes, I think if you need things clarified in evidence that was presented, we can do that now. And then if there are additional things, Sue or Neha, if there are additional things that you think would be helpful to them to understand this, we can add additional things to that meeting. So
perfect. That's super helpful.
I'm just going to say, Ms. Crow, if there's anything that I'm saying that is wrong, or you can jump in and let me know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a very important committee. It's high stakes, and we want to make sure we're following all of the processes consistently and across all of our program reviews. So, and I'm, even though I've been now chair for 2 years, I feel like very nervous about that that piece. So I want to be sure to follow the process to the T. So anyways, all right. So you can clarify existing evidence, but but you're not adding additional things that are not in evidence.
Jennifer, thank you. This is high stakes for us, and I'm a little anxious. So please rein me in. You saw me do the button.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Sue, it's okay. You all know your program so well.
Yeah.
It comes out naturally to talk about things like that.
It totally does. It totally does. And that's why I feel bad, like just mentioning that, but in a way, then you don't feel like you're going to be like put on the spot for all of these things that we're talking about. It's just that if a piece of evidence, for example, somebody might want to know when they do that unit analysis, it's already been submitted in evidence, but they need a little piece of context or something like that. But otherwise you have, more opportunities. All right. So thank you for that clarification, Melissa. And I did not mean to cut off Jennifer, your questioning. So other questions, either Jennifer or the rest of the committee?
Yes. So would you clarify the reflection? There's a piece of evidence that is entitled reflection. It's linked to the word reflection, and it talks about the student survey results. Could you talk about that for just a minute and explain that piece of evidence?
There should also be an accompanying actual assessment with that reflection document. They should all be together. And so what you have presented in front of you, and keep me in line, please, is the actual results from the student voice survey. And then you have the candidates' reflection on what they learned by analyzing those results. Is that
Thank
correct?
you.
Did I do better that time?
Yes, and actually that was helpful because I had not scrolled down to that last page to see the reflection. So thank you. Any further questions? Okay, am I roll calling after each one of these, Melissa? I'm
It
seeing a
might be
nodding from
easier.
Mike.
'Cause, yeah, I think given the number, it'd be easier than trying to remember and go back.
Okay, let's do it. Final call for questions. All right. The vote is to clear or to retain. Jennifer? Sorry, I can't see your raises because I have roll call up and I did not hear.
She
a
couldn't find,
response.
she couldn't
I
find
was
unmute.
I was struggling there. I've got two screens open, sorry. Clear.
Jenny, I'm clear. Danny,
Clear.
Susan,
Clear.
and Coletta.
Clear.
Okay. We're to the next AFI. Sorry, I'm writing all of our names down on a piece of paper because I keep losing that tab. So I should have figured that out ahead of time.
Jenny, I'm writing it down as well. So we have a few people.
Okay, but I mean, just like even finding the names to call them off, even though I could just see their faces, I wanted to go in the same order. So anyways,
Do you
I just
want
wrote them
me?
down.
Do you want me to call? Would that be easier for you?
Sure.
Okay, I can do
Sure,
that.
that would be fine. All right. The next AFI that we are discussing is 1.4. All right, I have no questions. I'm hearing no questions, so we're ready for a vote on AFI in 1.4.
Jennifer?
Clear.
Jenny?
Clear.
Danny?
Clear.
Sue?
Clear.
Coletta?
Clear.
All right.
And the next AFI is 1.5. I have a question about this very standard because it says technology standards and we don't actually in KTPS officially have its technology standards. So I need some clarification from my EPSB colleagues around the assessment of this standard.
Yeah, so this one was in the old Cape standards. These aren't the revised. And so we just have to clear that whether they use the technology just like when they first revised the Cape standards. So they are on the older handbook for these when these were assessed.
All right, so they refer to the instructional unit, but in a word search of that instructional unit, the word technology does not appear. So I'm fine with clearing it. I'm just saying personally, because it's not in the current CAPE, but it also is not in the unit plan. So if they need to produce evidence that unit plan was not it. So Melissa, can you clarify our charge here as a committee? Can we clear it because it's no longer in the CAPE standards, or
So previously, we have, and Whitney, if there's something else you need to consider, we can. But previously, when we went from CAPE to NCAPE, we were able to clear NCAPE standards that were no longer being upheld with CAPE. So we can clear it because it is no longer a standard based on previous history.
In section 3 of the unit plan, it says provide an overview of technology that will be integrated to enhance instruction and to demonstrate student use of technology, if that helps.
Oh, that does help. I wonder how my word search failed me.
I think it might be a copy, like a scanned copy. I don't know,
Could
but
be. Could be.
because I looked for the same thing.
Thank you. Thank you for inserting that. All right. So in both cases. So any other questions or considerations for standard 1.5? Ready for a roll call. Oh,
You can go to
sorry.
page 6. It's on page 6, but
Okay. Thanks, Sue. Page 6, she said.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. I have so
Jennifer.
many documents up
Oh,
right now.
sorry.
I'm just going to take your word for it.
Jennifer.
Clear.
Jenny.
Clear.
Danny.
Clear.
Sue.
Clear.
Coletta.
Clear.
All right. So standard 1 is we've completed standard 1. All clear. Nicely done, team. Okay, standard 2, do you need a minute? Are you ready to go right into standard 2, committee? Okay. Standard 2, the first AFI is standard 2.1. I'm going to share, I try to give wait time, but I have some things to like solicit more input from my committee members. I would have liked to have seen ACE minutes, not just the PowerPoints. I don't know who was at that meeting. It's supposed to be evidence of partner involvement, but the faces on those slides were the faculty. And I can assume by the way the slides are written that there are partnership folks there. So, but I don't see minutes. That would have been helpful. And I have a question. I think part of the standard that makes it a challenge is that they're there to help co-construct something. So what is it that was co-constructed? So showing that they provided input on something and then it led to some kind of outcome. I don't see that evidence either in the narrative or in the, in the things that we link to. So those are my wonderings about that standard. And then my other thing I just want to say, and I'm back to a Melissa clarification, is if they do an agreement with option 9, which is a new thing, is that relevant to this program review that is the existing program that we're reviewing, not the option 9 program? Like, is option 9 an example of this, or is it not because it's not this program? I wasn't sure how to take option 9 evidence.
Yeah, option 9, I think, would be a co-construction between the district. It's an agreement, kind of like an option 6. So it would be, an initial program leading to initial licensure. So.
That then, even though it's, because the program that was put in for review originally wasn't the option 9, it was the regular, but it's just showing the co-construction of new pathways.
Yes. And
perfect. Okay.
The option 9, it is the same program. It's just condensed and done with that year
partnership. Okay. Gotcha.
Jennifer, you are correct in saying we did not submit notes from the council meetings. But if you go to evidence provided for the dispositions assessment, I ran a Lache analysis because the Ronaldo and Sheeran instrument had initially been designed for only in-seat instruction and in-seat programs. I ran that analysis, including members of our advisory committee. So there is one piece of evidence. It doesn't give their names, but you are absolutely correct in saying we did not provide minutes.
Other committee member questions?
So
I
the,
would, sorry, go ahead.
so the option 9 agreement, it's blank, correct? Do you have any with districts? This one is just an example.
Right, we do. We
Blank.
do. Yes.
I noticed that as well. Somewhere else in the evidence, you list the agreements that you name the schools. But there isn't like, yeah.
I didn't know if we would be violating any laws or rules regarding legalities by providing signed documents. So we erred on the side of caution and did not provide.
You can share those because those actually go to EPSB, and so they're a part of the record there. So you could, yes.
Just I wanted to add about the minutes. The meeting with the advisory council members is not like we are all here and we are documenting our conversation. It's more so where we share our data and we seek input, and then we collect that and put that in a place. So it's like a information collected and then worked on. So if that is something that you're looking for, we would be happy to share in the following meeting. So just so that it's not like minutes, if that's a picture that you would
right. I mean, ultimately, the minutes just provide more context about what was discussed, but
right.
you're to demonstrate evidence that you've used stakeholder input. So that's what you've gathered to improve the program. That's a continuous improvement cycle, which comes later. But so that loop isn't present when you don't like see some kind of evidence of what they told you and then what you did about it. Like just could be just a little story inside of the the narrative side with the documentation to like whatever notes you took or what program change was made or before after. Those are the kinds of things that like
yes,
are
absolutely.
evidence of that standard.
We can share that for your review. Absolutely.
At this point in time, given the evidence that's in front of you, the most concrete piece we have is the Lache analysis that was run on the Ronaldo and Sheeran dispositions instrument to make sure we could use it in an online context as well as in seat.
I think we're ready to call a vote.
All right, Jennifer,
Retain.
Jenny,
Retain.
Danny,
Retain.
Sue,
Retain.
Coletta.
Retain.
So we'll solidify this feedback, but it is The option 9 thing could be talked about in a little bit more elaboration. We don't need the exact thing uploaded, but I think what we're asking for is this ACE committee is really interesting because that is the evidence of, involving them in these mutually beneficial agreements. You could also add in the Laushi. That's not exactly a mutually beneficial arrangement, but it is if you're trying to grow positive dispositions, you could make that case. So I think those sort of pieces would just strengthen this up. Like it's not far off of what you need, but I just think a little more evidence is what I'm hearing from the committee.
And Lexi and I will put together what the rationales are and stuff. We'll send those to the committee to review before we send them to the institutions. So you guys can add to it. And then institutions, once you receive it, if you have follow-up questions, we can reach out to the committee.
All right, we're on to 2.3. Floor is open for discussion.
I just have a point for the committee. At looking at the course syllabi and reading the description, I see that it says so many hours are tied to this course and must be turned in. But in the description, is there enough relevant support? And also in the syllabi, does that provide breadth and depth and coherence to support the development? That's my question with this standard for the committee.
Well, if you're asking the committee, I liked that the syllabi had the chart that had what the experience was and what standards it mapped to. I feel like, one of the things that I love is a curriculum map that's got the comprehensive look. So I have to go to each syllabus separately. But because each syllabus had the standards there, I felt like, and standards were reappearing. That's what I used as thinking about depth and breadth because they were appearing across the courses.
I think the addition of the videotaped lessons and lesson plan connection and thing, I mean, I just felt like I guess I felt that was important as well.
Thank you.
All right, I do not want to, anytime I'm calling a vote too quickly, let me know because I know we're revisiting evidence and things like that as we're hearing each other's perspectives. So I don't want to hurry the vote, but I think there's a pause here. So I'm going to turn to Melissa to vote on standard 2.3.
Hey, Jennifer,
Clear?
Jenny,
Clear?
Danny,
Clear.
Sue,
Clear.
Coletta.
Clear.
Okay, standard 2 is complete. We're to standard 3. We're on AFI 3.1. I would like some clarification on these pieces of evidence. So the once again, the ACE minutes would have been more useful than the PowerPoint, but on the recruitment strategy link, it has the BAP. So I would like to hear how that BAP is. I'm looking for something to tip the scales on recruiting diverse students and or for high needs areas. across those pieces of evidence. I'll just leave it at that.
The BAP is it's a business agreement we have with areas that are, in this case, it was with a rural district that was having issues hiring its, getting enough teachers in their school. And it offers the dean at the time went out and visited, talked with them, talked about recruiting, and they signed the agreement with us. It's a business incentive program that allows high need districts and schools to receive a 15% discount on all tuition.
Thank you. Committee members, do you have questions?
I guess I was hoping for a little more information about exactly like the recruitment strategies. I didn't feel like it was real clear exactly what the plan was and how it was being implemented.
Can you please say that one more time? Just need to understand that I've followed.
Well, I'm thinking of like a recruitment plan. It's kind of like what specific activities are you doing to highlight where and when are you doing them, and kind of a more, I guess, more robust recruitment plan as far as where do you go, how do you find, and what are you doing? What specific activities target your recruitment?
We work most closely with our admissions program. We also work with the ASMU. I'm not allowed to talk about anything that wasn't
Sue,
provided.
I would say we could provide that in the future meeting. So if you can, if you guys want to meet with your admissions team, if that remains a concern.
That would be my other question is what are your target areas? What are your diverse backgrounds or your hard to staff sectors? What targets do you have? What objectives are you trying to meet in your recruitment plan?
So you really need a more finely grained discussion on here are the areas of need. This is what we've researched. This is what our local districts are telling us. And this is how we're serving them with our recruitment plans. That would be helpful to present in October.
I would agree. Like, yeah, like, do you bring students to campus? Do you go out? Do you do outreach? What kind of things do you do to kind of to make your presence known and to try and have students come to you?
Did we include Eagle Prep? Okay, that's our bad.
We were really specific to what we were doing as a department. We didn't talk about the whole, so we're gonna just work on that.
I think also like you have all these option 9 agreements. So my guess is some conversations came on about what the greatest needs were, but that discussion isn't there. So like, are the option 9 anybody come, all come, or are you really like, did you design it around areas of need? And if you did, then just, say that. So all right, I think any other feedback? Jump in or we're ready to vote.
All right, Jennifer.
Retain.
Jenny.
Retain.
Danny.
Retain.
Sue.
Retain.
Coletta.
Retain.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're on standard 3.3. The dispositions, Sue, we're at dispositions. So I'm asking for a clarification to start. And you have the checkpoints that you talk about throughout the evidence. And so in the slide deck of one of the ACE presentations, you actually have the specifics of the checkpoints. I saw dispositions on the list for checkpoint 1, but I'm asking for clarification about the final part of the statement, which says you must demonstrate at admissions, the dispositions. I see that. And during the program. So when else are dispositions assessed? Because I don't see it on checkpoint 2 or 3 on that list. And that just could be that you left them off that slide, but I'm just curious for you to explain that.
Dispositions are assessed twice annually, at the end of Mod 2 and at the end of Mod 4. And that is both at the initial certification and the advanced certification program. Now, what we included as evidence at the initial certification level is evidence that we had students with negative dispositions. And there should be evidence of the procedure, the protocol that's followed, as well as sort of the consequences. I think we said we use this as an opportunity to grow our students. And we've never had to, actually, we did have to let somebody go because of a disposition infraction. There was one that was extreme enough, and that was at the initial certification level. But the results are analyzed at the end of checkpoint 2. They're analyzed at the end of checkpoint 4. And if a candidate receives the same disposition infraction by 2 different people at the same point in time, they're called on it. And there's a disciplinary hearing held.
So, sorry, checkpoint 4. Do you mean
Checkpoint 4 is that we have in the way our university is operated, there are 3 basic semesters. There's fall and spring and then summer. But within fall and within spring, they're broken down into 2 8-week units because we have online programs. So in the fall, Mod 1 and Mod 2. So Mod 2 falls at the end of fall semester. Mod 3 and Mod 4 are when the spring semester ends. Candidates are also assessed when they first enter the program. Does that answer?
I think so. I just in the report kept saying checkpoints 1, 2, and 3. So then I thought I heard you say checkpoint 4, but I think you were talking about.
Yeah, I may have, and I apologize.
Yeah, no, it could be me.
They get confusing.
Committee members, other questions? All right, let's vote.
Jennifer.
Clear.
Jenny.
Clear.
Danny.
Clear.
Sue. Oh, I saw you say clear, but you're muted, so I didn't hear it.
Clear, sorry. I was trying to keep the noise down here.
Coletta.
Clear.
Okay.
All right, so 3.5. The floor is open for the committee to ask questions or discuss. Okay, Melissa, let's hear a vote.
All right, Jennifer,
Clear.
Jenny,
Clear.
Danny,
Clear.
Sue,
Clear. I'm leaving my mic on.
Coletta.
Clear.
Okay.
All right, so the next, all right. We're on advanced program 3.3. And this one has a phase-in plan. So, and there's a clarification there. So, Melissa, is this something that, it says the evidence was provided in the rejoinder? Are we judging that rejoinder, or was it actually already cleared? I wasn't sure the way it was worded.
This one, I don't have a note on this one as being cleared, but I can double check on that. And if we need to, we can bring this back in the fall.
Okay, I mean, we could take a vote, but I feel like if it was a phase-in plan that is being looked at here, and there's a phase-in plan, I'm just not, I just wanted to clarify what we're voting on here. On the phase-in plan or on the standard?
I think they've enacted the plan, right, Sue? Like you guys.
Yeah, yes, and the
So
evidence.
it's like there's not only the plan, there's actually action.
Yeah,
So
what happened is the evidence was not where the committee expected to find it. And in the rejoinder, we pointed that out. And in the final decision that was sent by the team lead, it was removed because they said, oh,
okay,
we found your evidence, you just need to put it in the right place.
okay, that's the one.
Right,
That's the
because
one.
what we've been supplied is that statement that Sue just referenced, telling them where it was, but we don't actually see then the plan, or I'm missing it. So I
Yeah,
just figured it was already
I think
taken
we're
care
gonna
of.
have to get into SharePoint because I don't think we found it in the Google Drive. So we'll do some, and so that one may very well be cleared. If it is, then we will not have to bring it back. But I don't think you guys have to vote on it since we haven't established that it's actually been assessed. So I'm gonna skip this one and we're going to, Lexi and I will look through SharePoint and see what we can find. So we'll just go on to 4.2.
Okay, so standard 3 has been completed. Standard 3 review. Okay, we're ready for standard 4, and we're starting with 4.2. All right, I hear no discussion. And so I'm going to call for a vote.
Jennifer,
Retain.
Jenny,
Clear. It's my first time to have a different vote than Jennifer.
Danny,
I was gonna say clear, but now I'm wondering what Jennifer's thought was, since we.
Well, we can go
I'll
ahead
vote-
and finish the vote
yeah,
and
let's
then we
finish
can
the vote
discuss.
and we'll see
I'll
where
vote clear.
Okay, Sue,
Clear.
Coletta.
Retain.
Okay, so technically it is cleared because we had a majority of the vote to clear it. But if Jennifer or Coletta have any notes just to assist, midway, we are going to clear it, but midway, if there's something that you guys can mention to them that they could use to help, that would be good as well.
Definitely, if there are specific questions that we can address.
I would have liked to have seen the results of the case study. I see the interview But I didn't see the results of the case study to show that the teaching effectiveness was there. So rather than just the interview and the responses, that would have been helpful.
Case study
Yeah.
is not
Like
complete
I
yet.
voted clear, but that was my thing. I didn't know how far along they had to be with the process I know back in standard 1, there's the data that's required, but I didn't know that in standard 4 that was the case, which is why I fell on the clear side. So that's a Melissa clarification, perhaps.
No, that's fine. I think they had evidence. I think before it was limited and now they have this, but like Sue, I believe just said that they're still finishing. Is that what you were saying, Sue? They're finishing their case studies. So they've done the interviews and stuff, but she's still putting together the final results. So Jennifer, did you have anything or was yours on the same page?
Mine was exactly the
Okay.
same. I'd like to see the finished case study. That was
And when you
all.
guys come forward in November, this is cleared, but if you want to
Mhm.
provide a copy of the case study just so they can see it, it might also be interesting. So, all right, Jenny, we'll move on to 4.3.
All right. 4.3 is open for discussion. I think this, for me, this one has some of the similar dilemma of the last one. Seems like the surveys aren't working and you've explained why, and it totally makes sense. You don't have that many completers in the first place and principals live busy lives. So you mentioned the idea of focus group conversation or whatever, but it's just a mention at this point. So I do think that something other than a survey is probably warranted. And so, but at this point it's at the suggestion phase. So I'm sort of like sitting there on the fence here on this one as well, because you have an idea here that has, but it isn't as drawn out. It isn't as far along as the case study data that you have, or the case study and the interview protocol from the previous standard. And I wonder too, with your ACE folks coming in, if any of those are principals, you have an opportunity there to perhaps gather data when you have them sort of there already doing the ACE piece, like it could be built into an experience like that.
That I think that has been suggested. And I think we should probably cherry pick more carefully the principals who are going to be a part of our ASMU, because not all of them have our completers in their schools.
Right.
And,
And that's always a dilemma. Like,
Yeah, it's
you
hard
have
when you,
right.
when you have a small program, I mean, right? But
Yeah.
having a administrator that does have your graduates does give them a interesting lens for the work of the ACE committee overall.
And I fully expected this to not clear. It's been a challenge for us. We have given it focus, and I had really good luck one year at the master's level and no responses the next. It was, it helped when we had them sent out by the state, that's where we got the most reliable returns and the highest returns.
Well, that also brings up a contextual factor that all of our institutions have had the same phenomena where the state was doing something and then it wasn't, and then it is, and then it's hard for us to, you know, pivot to doing our own thing back and forth. So I understand that. All right, well, hearing no other discussion, I will turn to Melissa for the vote.
Hey, Jennifer,
Retain.
Jenny,
Retain.
Danny,
Retain.
Sue,
Retain.
Coletta.
Retain.
Okay. Moving on to 4.4.
I feel like, in my opinion, we're just talking about the same issue. I'd like to see the case study complete and what responses you've got, how you're going to use those, how we can turn that around to program improvements, how that cycle completes with your completers, with your principals. And I understand the struggles. I'm from a small institution as well.
All right, well, I'm not hearing any other discussion. Sorry, I had to go back and look at the completer survey. My question is that there was the teacher survey earlier and then the completer survey. Is that the same survey? That's two different things.
There are two different surveys at the master's and the initial certification level.
But you know what I'm talking about? The survey that is mentioned back at standard.
Let me go back. Tell me where to go.
It's the I want to say it was, nope, I'm wrong. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think we included examples of
Yeah, I don't see it.
surveys.
Yeah, I thought it was up there in like one of the ones, but it's not there. So
No,
Yeah.
we met Kate's 20% criteria at the master's level and just above. But the program's small and since all of our completers are already in schools, we don't have the problem of them not being hired the year after they complete. It's been more of a challenge at the initial certification level to get the 20% response rates met with the surveys.
okay, committee, I think we're ready for a vote, Melissa.
Okay, Jennifer,
Retain.
Jenny,
Retain.
Danny,
Retain.
Sue,
Retain.
Coletta.
Retain.
All right, 5.2 and A 5.2.
All right. As Melissa said, we're looking at two together, 5.2 and advanced 5.2. Okay, hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote.
Okay, Jennifer,
Clear.
Jenny,
Clear.
Danny,
Clear.
Sue,
Clear.
Coletta.
Clear.
All right, 5.3 and A 5.3.
Floor is open for discussion. Okay, we're ready for a vote.
Jennifer,
Clear.
Jenny,
Clear.
Danny,
Clear.
Sue,
Clear.
Coletta.
Clear.
Okay, that brings us to the end of your
We have cleared the
stuff.
we have cleared this institutional review.
So
This
yes,
EPP
I
review.
was looking, we have cleared 1.2, 1.4, 1.5, 2.3, 3.3, 3.5, 4.2, 5.2, A 5.2, 5.3, and A 5.3. So we retained 2.1, 4.3, and oh, sorry, 3.1. I'm out of order now.
4.3
and 4.4. So you guys did a lot to really clear off a lot of those. So thank you for your hard work. I know you guys have gone through, I think, 3 chairs now. So I know you guys have had a lot of moving pieces, and the 2 of you have really worked really hard to get this work done, and well done. So these other 2 we can, or these other few, I guess there's maybe 3, we can go back and talk about. If you need the OELE team, we're happy to jump in and help you. We'll provide notes based on what the committee said, and send that back to you all so you guys know. And if you have any clarifying questions for the committee, we can certainly reach out to them to do that.
Right. And what I hear the committee saying is that you have ideas there. We just want to see them like get to where there's like results. Yes.
I do have a question. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for recognizing the work that we've done over the last several years. We not only have we had 3 department chairs, but we've had 4 interim chairs. And there were no curveballs here. I fully expected the results to be what they were. So the fact that you recognize we've got standard 5 in place, and that we have dug deep to do the really critical work to get our program in shape, we appreciate that more than you could know.
Thank you, Sue.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you for saying that.
You don't have an easy task, and we tried to be very honest and transparent with you. It's what matters.
I have a clarification question, because obviously my first time, where we have a low response rate being a smaller institute for completer and employer, do you think evidence like completers testimonies or something like that could be helpful, could be useful? Because you get anecdotal data all the time, but if we can document some of those and use this as evidence to get maybe 4.3 and 4.4 at least with some evidence. Just want to note that.
I mean, I think when from a statistical perspective, you don't have the numbers for a big quantitative analysis to really carry that much weight. So having qualitative data. So you're saying anecdotal, but if you're talking about qualitative data, and so you can characterize it as unsolicited, and then be able to like look at, comments that might occur more than once. And so I think that is data. So how you use that data, I think, is important. And it is also a piece of your alumni relations, which then help with, all the things, recruiting back to your graduate program and all that sort of thing. So I do feel like, to me, anecdotal sounds like it isn't research based, but when you have, unsolicited student commentary and you look at it from a qualitative lens, when you have small numbers, that data could be more meaningful than survey data.
Thank you. That's helpful.
And coming from a small institution like yours, I'll be happy anytime to walk you through what we do so that it might help you in any way. Just let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for extending that support. It means a lot. Thank you.
And Melissa has also offered, she's got that bird's eye view on lots of programs, and doing like standard 4 is not easy. So coming up with efficient ways to do it that end up being productive and I feel like, you have a lot of resources.
Sometimes I think I'm asking too much of her, so I may just go to Dr. Neal.
You're always welcome to, ask anything you need. But well,
thank you so
guys
much.
have done an astronomical amount of work. Congratulations.
Thank
we'll
you.
continue to work on the AFIs that we still have out there, and we'll all keep working together to make sure every institution prepares excellent teachers across the Commonwealth. So committee, we are going to take a 15-minute break. When we come back, we will jump into Brush's accreditation and program approval. But I figured at this point, everybody maybe needs to stretch, use the restroom, get a drink of water, whatever
We
you
could
need.
pause the recording,
Thank you, Midway.
perhaps.
Yes, we will pause the recording. Okay, well, we are going to move into a vote for Brescia. We have 2 votes today for Brescia. We have a vote for their accreditation. This is a recommendation, of course, to the EPSB. So we will vote on that recommendation for accreditation. And then in a separate vote, you vote for their program approval. So continued program approval. So there are 2 ways you can go about voting for the accreditation. We will hear from Dr. Deaton, who was the site team chair, and have an opportunity for Mr. Webb, the chair of Brush's education program, to speak to you today. And then you all can make 2 decisions. You can either vote along the lines of what the site visit team did and make no alterations, so accept the modifications that they made and vote in mass in one, and then go on to the continued program review vote. Or if there are individual changes you want to make to each area, each AFI or stipulation, actually in this case it was all stipulations. If you want to go in and vote in each individual stipulation and the decision that was made, you all are welcome to do that one by one as well. Does that make sense? Perfect. Well, then we will start with Dr. Deaton and let him talk about his virtual site visit with the team to Brescia University.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Diebel. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shannon Deaton, and I served as the chair for the targeted state-only accreditation visit for Brescia University in spring 26. Other members of the site visit team included Drs. Janine Huss, Robin Magruder, Rosemary Young, and Barry Gibson. The state consultants from KDE were Dr. Melissa Diebel and Dr. Meredith Brewer, who are with us here today. The team initially met in September 2025 to review the previously identified stipulations related to standards 4 and 5 from the prior site visit, as well as to discuss the EPP's targeted self-study report. During that meeting, the team identified stipulations in standards 4 and 5, which were shared with the EPP in the targeted formative feedback report prior to the site visit. The virtual site visit itself was conducted February 24th and 25th of this year. The site visit schedule was organized by the EPP using a template provided by EPSB staff. I would like to acknowledge the EPP chair, Mr. Mac Webb, who's with us today, and thank him, as well as the faculty and staff at Brescia University for hosting the site visit team virtually during the accreditation visit. Following interviews with EPP personnel and a review of evidence presented in the addendum, as well as additional evidence provided during the site visit itself, the team reviewed each stipulation in standards 4 and 5 to determine whether it should be retained, modified, or removed. The team then voted on whether each standard was met with AFIs or stipulations, or not met. Finally, the team voted on the accreditation recommendation of either accredit or revoke based on the extent to which the standards were met. The team did use the CAPE guidance documentation to determine areas for improvement and stipulations. EPSB staff provided additional guidance regarding determinations of whether standards were met or not met. That guidance included if any standard had 0 or 1 stipulation, or only had AFIs identified, that standard would be met. Any standard with 2 or more stipulations was determined, or would have been determined, to be not met. The results for each standard were as follows. Regarding standard 4, program impact, the team recommended that the standard be rated as met with 1 or more areas for improvements or stipulations. The areas for improvement were identified in CAPE components R 4.1 and R 4.2, and a stipulation was identified in CAPE component R 4.3. For standard 5, the team recommended that the standard be rated as met with 1 or more areas for improvement or stipulations. Areas for improvement were identified in CAPE components R 5.1, R 5.3, and R 5.4, and a stipulation was identified in CAPE component R 5.2. The final site visit report was provided to the EPP on March 16th of this year. Based on the findings of the site visit team and the determinations related to standards 4 and 5, the team voted to recommend a decision of accredit for the EPP, which we now pass to the AAC for a final recommendation. In closing this report, I would like to thank the members of the site visit team, again, the faculty and staff of Brescia University, who we have several here with us today, and the members of the AAC committee. I do appreciate the opportunity to participate in this process, and at this time, I'll defer back to the AAC for questions and next steps. Thank you.
Melissa, do you want me to jump in with the next thing?
Well, if there are no questions for Dr. Deaton concerning the site visit, correct? Just confirming. Okay, then we will move over to Mr. Webb. If you have anything you would like to speak to about the site visit, anything the AAC should know?
No, speaking for everybody at Brescia, we appreciate Dr. Deaton's time. We very much understood the position that we were in going into the site visit. And Dr. Deaton, his site visit team, they were very meticulous when they went through each piece of evidence. They really did their due diligence coming to their conclusion. So we appreciate the thoughtfulness that they put into the site visit for us.
Does the AAC have any questions for Mr. Webb? Okay, hearing none, we will turn it over to Dr. Bay Williams to ask the first question.
All right, so Melissa, you were sharing the process, so I want to make sure I'm consistent with that. So my understanding is when we go to the Brescia vote sheet, the first thing that we're voting on is, did the site visitors follow approved guidelines when conducting the visit?
Yes, and this is one that, sorry, this is one that you confirm with Mr. Webb.
By asking him right now?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we got a feel for it just right now and hearing the presentation that we heard. So I wasn't
Yeah,
sure
we
if it was
just-
based,
we just
I'm just simply
confirmed that-
asking, or if it was
Yeah.
based on the presentation we just heard. Okay.
Yeah, no, no presentation today. Max said he's done a million of them, and not that he wouldn't be happy to do more presentations. It's his favorite thing to do. But no, we just confirmed with Brescia that the site visitors, Dr. Deaton's team, all followed approved guidelines. EPSB followed approved guidelines and throughout the process.
So do we call the names, or we just do?
No, you just Mr. Webb is the only one. He's acting as a representative for Brescia.
Perfect. Okay. So then we move to question number 2 on our accreditation, which is, do we, the committee, the AAC committee, agree of the areas for improvement or stipulations identified by the site visit report?
And this is the one you can vote in mass that you agree for the whole thing and say yes, and we can go on to accreditation. If anybody disagrees with the site team's findings, then you would have to go one by one. So we do have to, even if you disagree on just one, we have to go one by one and clarify. So the first thing you guys have to decide is if you want to go in mass, if you agree with the findings of the entire team, or if you need to go individually to make modifications.
I'm sorry, Melissa, did everyone vote that the site visitors followed the guidelines?
I think Mr. Webb said yes.
Okay, just confirming. Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi.
Melissa, if we could just formally pose that question, if the chair could pose that to Chair Webb, and then he can answer that direct question, and then Lexi can document that.
Okay.
Chair Webb, did the site visitors follow approved guidelines when conducting the visit?
Conducting the visit, yes.
Thank you. Okay, so the committee is just reviewing each of the stipulations, and if we'll first decide if we're going to do a holistic vote or a stipulation / AFI vote by one by one.
Correct. And on your sheet, the original stipulation is on the left, and in the middle is the modifications made by the site team.
I think it would be helpful to go through them one by one. We've spent a lot of time with this, and I think going through them would be helpful.
All right, so
do you need a motion to do those individually, Melissa?
Yeah, so you asked the question, Jenny, on number 2, and then the answer, if you want to go one by one, would be that you do not agree with the site visit decisions. And if you don't want to vote on that yet, we can go through and read each of the individual ones before you vote whether you want to, because what you're saying is we don't agree with one of the decisions and want to change it.
And the site visit focused specifically on standards 4 and 5.
Yeah, it's a targeted visit because it was a probation visit.
Yeah, I'm just pointing that. I just want the committee to be aware that the things that we've been monitoring have been in other standards.
Yeah.
So, but if we, so we're saying right now we don't necessarily agree. We're going to go one by one to decide if we agree.
Okay, so the committee would like to look at each individual one before deciding to vote on them, correct?
That's what I'm hearing. Okay. So point of clarification, we are going to look at the table that we have. So for example, stipulation number 1 is there, and then it was updated at the visit as an AFI, and then we're going to vote on that. What we don't have is the evidence that led to that decision. Because it was at the site visit.
Well, it's in the folder, the site visit folder. All of the evidence is in there.
Okay.
So everything is carried over. But if there is something from the site visit that is referenced from an interview, Dr. Deaton can help clarify as the site visit team, or if there is a piece of evidence that was submitted during the on-site that you have a question for, Mr. Webb can answer questions about that as well.
Perfect.
Oh, I do want to say that the Russia submitted new evidence with the addendum that was not considered by the site visit team because the site visit team had already disbanded. So that is evidence that you all can consider in the AAC that may not have been reflected in the results of the site visit. So just to
Okay.
clarify that.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting all my folders ready. And I was back on the other standard, so I got to call this back up again.
Jenny, if I can help with anything, let me know. I can call the vote. I can call the vote, but also
Okay.
if it would help for
We
me
are
to
going to
read
start
anything.
with row 1, which is related to standard R41. The stipulation was changed to an AFI and the rationale is provided. Discussion. And Melissa, we're ready for the vote. And the vote
Clarify
is
your
agree.
approval.
It's yes, you agree with the site visit rating. No, you don't disagree.
Okay. Jennifer,
Agree.
Jenny,
Agree.
Danny,
Agree.
Sue,
Agree.
Coletta,
Agree.
Then we're to the next row, which is stipulation 2, which was changed from a stipulation to an AFI, and the rationale is provided. R.2. R4.2, sorry.
And I may have missed this, but the evidence that the site committee found for this one is in the folder.
Yes, so the EPP collected employer satisfaction data through surveys and interviews. So the surveys and interviews are in the folder. They said, but the evidence was limited in duration and disaggregation, inconsistently reported, and lacked documented analysis to support conclusions or inform program improvement. So Dr. Deaton, I believe the site visit team saw evidence of the employer satisfaction data. So the surveys and the interviews, but outside of the collection of those pieces, they didn't see anything further, I believe is. So you'll see the interviews and I can pull that for you.
And just to be sure, I'm looking at the correct document. I have the Russia University Targeted Addendum, which is the most recent. Melissa, you mentioned follow-up after this the site visit. I want to make sure that I have viewed whatever that was.
Yes, they submitted additional evidence with the rejoinder. So let me. Oh, sorry, I'm in the site visitor folder. Yes, the AAC. So if you click into addendum, oh, sorry, I lied.
I have the
Oh, sorry,
rejoinder.
rejoinder.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've read the rejoinder. I just, the timing of it.
So these pieces of evidence in with the rejoinder narrative are the pieces of evidence that they supplied. So they did add copy of completer, Kentucky Framework for Teaching, Evaluation, Disposition. Let me see, copy of completer. Sorry, I'm trying to open things. Copy of, it says completer sheet, graduate survey, partner survey. So they have more data in there. If you have something, a question specific about any of that, I think Mr. Webb might be able to answer anything in there, but the pieces that they submitted are in that folder. Mac, I don't know if it would be helpful if you could, did you guys provide any, or could you speak to your data?
Yeah,
where
so one thing that was the Kentucky Framework for Teaching Evaluations, there was some additional clarification that we provided on that for 4.2. And that's noted in the rejoinder, and we discuss you know, year 1, year 2, year 3, and what some of those cohort scores look like. That's a part of the rejoinder, as well as our employer surveys. I think part of the site visit report was that not all programs were documented. And so I think I'd shown the AAC last time our completer Excel sheet, and it's not that we didn't provide the data, it's that the data is not there and it's not real. Just because we are such a small program, we might have a specific completer for a specific program once every 5 years. So it's not that we omitted data, it's that we did not collect data because we didn't have a candidate or a completer in that program area. And that's the essence of what our 4.2 revolved around, is clarification of the KYF FT of our completers, and then the employer surveys.
So I think what he's explaining, and in the rationale, I think he's explaining the way that they disaggregated. And then when it says inconsistently reported, I think what Mac is saying is that they it wasn't inconsistent. It was that those completers are kind of far between. And then I don't know if Mac, if you guys had anything to demonstrate analysis that you can speak to off the top of your head. I'm happy to keep looking, but I just thought I would put it out there.
And so one thing is that this is now a standing agenda item on our TAAC meetings, where we discuss these surveys and the data with our stakeholders that we bring in.
And those pieces would not have been something that the on-site visit would have, that they would have, Dr. Deaton's team would not have evaluated that evidence.
Okay, so we are on this our 4.2, and my question is, we are voting whether we agree with the AFI number 13. So my question, Melissa, is if we, so there's the additional evidence that's been supplied. So we might think it should still be a stipulation. We might think that it is still an AFI, or we might think that the AFI should be removed. Any of those three things might be true. Is that correct?
Correct.
Because additional discussion was provided.
Correct.
So for our vote, we're voting yes or no whether we agree that there's an AFI in place here.
Yes.
If we disagree, it could mean it goes on either side, right? That it either
Correct.
should have stayed a stipulation or should be cleared.
Correct.
So then there's no place for us to.
I think you can, and Whitney, I'm gonna call on you to help. I think you can modify the AFI. Like, I don't think you have to clear it or make it a stipulation. I think if they provided, you know, the disaggregation and you want to remove that part of the rationale, I believe you can do that. Whitney, I don't know if I am saying that correct. She's saying yes, so you
Okay.
can
Yeah, I mean-
modify the AFI.
Yeah, I think you just need a motion before you on what direction you want to go. And be, like Melissa said, you can be as specific in how you want to modify it, or what direction you want to go, to put that before the committee.
So in
So in
essence,
the-
we're not
in the
necessarily just
past-
agreeing with the committee report. We're agreeing on the committee report layered with the new information we have.
Correct. Well, no, if the evidence that was submitted would not have changed the outcome, then you can keep it. You can just agree. So then it would remain as it is. If not, we have to vote that you don't agree, and then you have to make the modification. At
Okay.
least that's how we did it in the past. Whitney, I don't know if they can just modify it. This is new.
Well, again, it's my first AAC. Certainly, normally you would take care of it kind of all at once, but Melissa, if your all standard practices is to first vote on whether you are adopting it or not, and then if you are not then have a secondary kind of vote. I think that's perfectly fine with your past practices. Sorry, I cut out there.
Well, we haven't had this before. I think, Jenny,
Okay.
it might be easier if we can just, if you need to modify it, if you guys can just modify it and then vote, then we cut out kind of an extra vote.
All right, so what I'm going to propose for discussion with the committee members is that in this statement, the rationale, there's several things that have been addressed, but not everything. So for example, in my opinion, there is still limited in duration is still true. But the other things are not true. Like the inconsistently reported, as Melissa explained, that's been fixed. And the analysis is there. So I would propose that the satisfaction data has had a limited duration.
So we would retain, so you would vote to agree to retain the AFI and modify the rationale to state the EPP collected employer satisfaction data through surveys and interviews, but the evidence was limited in duration.
I mean, in reality, it's limited in duration, and therefore it's not possible to know whether it informed program improvement because it's too new.
Yeah, I would suggest, I don't know, maybe I can't motion the motion, but to remove the disaggregation inconsistently reported part, just to strike that part and leave the rest of it as is, would be my recommendation.
And lacks documented analysis to support conclusions or inform program improvement.
Yes.
So
Right, so-
committee, the vote for it, I'll read it all at once so that you can have it in your head. The rationale would be modified to the EPP collected employer satisfaction data through surveys and interviews, but the evidence was limited in duration and lacks documented analysis to support conclusions or inform program improvement.
And we are ready for a vote.
So like call the vote. Okay, Jennifer,
Agree.
Jenny,
Yes, or agree.
Annie.
whichever.
yeah, I'll change it to, yeah. Danny?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Coletta?
Yes.
All right. And with that one, we're on to 4.3.
Okay, going to give everyone a chance to take a look at that one. Okay, so I was revisiting the rejoinder, so I'm hoping my committee has had a chance to take a look at that as well for consideration and discussion. So one of my questions, I guess, is the stipulation is there because it says no data was there. And in the rejoinder, it talks about the graduation survey, which is a completer survey. And so was that not shared with the site visit team? Could you clarify?
Yeah,
Correct.
so,
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mac.
am I answering this one or?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so the first time, when it was, absence was, we didn't have one, we instituted one, we've done 2 cycles. I think what the site visit wanted is, some numerical analysis tied with it, and so that's what's included in the rejoinder. We're still short of the 3 cycles. We'll have it after we collect this last cycle in May. But I think where that stems from, Dr. Deaton, am I correct in that assumption?
Did you say Dr. Deaton? I'm sorry, I was going to add something if I had permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I would clarify in relation to 4.3 is the definition of completer. A completer, as defined by CAPE, and Dr. Deep will jump in if I get this wrong, but it's someone who is operating in their certification that they graduated with 6 months post graduation. It's my understanding that a graduation survey implemented, right at the point of graduation prior to employment would not constitute a survey of completers. But I'll defer to Dr. Deeple on that definition there.
That is correct. That is the CAPE definition. And so what I think Brescia has done is use an unfortunate title for this survey. In the rejoinder, it says that they take the survey the May following their graduation, which I think means they've been out for more than 6 months. And they interchange completer and graduate. I mean, that's close to home here with us trying to distinguish between those 2 things. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So when we completed the survey, we titled it graduate survey. And so that's what the Microsoft Forms was called. And so we didn't distinguish between the completer survey, but it is administered 1 year following. And for us having such small numbers, that would include, a completer from the winter of 25 they wouldn't receive the survey until the spring of 27. So they would be a year and a half post completion. It's anybody who completes the program during that academic year, they would receive it the following May.
And Mac, just to
And that only has
clarify,
2 cycles right now. We're administering the 3rd now.
and this is going to the completers that are in their certification field. Correct. Yes.
Yes.
And it's with completers who are working in P12 classrooms, correct?
Correct.
They already have jobs because 4.3 is related to job responsibilities. So you are surveying those who are working in P12, correct?
Correct.
Already have jobs.
Mac is writing down right now, change name of survey.
That's already on the list. Yeah.
So this was
All right.
retained as a stipulation.
So we're
So you
first
guys
voting
are-
whether we agree or not.
Well, we don't have to vote. You can just modify it. So if you want to keep the stipulation, we can just vote yes or no. If you want to modify it to an AFI, or if you want to clear it, you are welcome to do either of those things as well.
I'm
Can I
going to
make a sug-
propose.
Oh, go ahead, Jenny.
I was going to propose clear because there's a survey and sorry, I have too many tabs open, and 2 of 3 cycles of data. So it's up and running. The analysis is there, and there is a focus group underway.
I was gonna kind of the same, but I was gonna make it an AFI that we have to have 3 cycles of data to be able to remove it, was my thought.
So clarification, Melissa, I feel like the 3 cycles of data is the standard 1 bit. The standard 4 is about having them in place, or am I convoluting that?
I think that if they're, so this is because CAPE has actually moved away somewhat from the 3 cycles. If you can demonstrate that it's, and I can't think of the word, systematically collected. So if you all want to see 3 cycles, you can do what Sue suggested and have the AFI to bring light to that they have to continue the process. If you believe that the process is in place and that another cycle can be will be collected, I think shortly, then you can remove it.
I just think
Which
the
offered
cycles
no
are,
additional clarification. I'm sorry. Like, I think
I think the cycles are even more important in smaller universities as well, because, it does take more data to be able to, I don't know, that's just my feeling.
well, and we did, Mac talks to me regularly. He has big, plans to rectify things. So if it were an AFI, I don't think it would be problematic for Mac to provide this next cycle of data for you in the next meeting and could clear it there. So you're welcome to clear it, but also I know that Mac anticipates clearing these as we're going over the next year and a half. So he's got his list going.
I do feel we need to be consistent. If we said in the previous AFI, the EPP collected employer satisfaction data, and now we're talking about completer data. Should we not, as a committee, be consistent in our decisions? Just a suggestion.
Agreed.
So have a statement that parallels the one above that is about continuing whatever the statement is above is what you're proposing.
So downgrade
The-
this
the-
to an
the-
AFI.
The strategies have potential whatever the whatever the one above was. That
The EPP
hasn't been
collected.
Yeah.
Completer satisfaction data.
So use the same rationale, limited in duration and lacks documented analysis to support conclusions to inform program improvement. Or we could say the EPP had limited evidence demonstrating that completer satisfaction was systematically measured in relation to skills gained for job. Like we could keep that and just change it to from did not provide sufficient and appropriate evidence to provided limited.
Right. I mean, the
It's kind of
way
a
the
catch-all.
rejoinder reads is the process has been analyzed, but outcomes there's not the, like, you could have a more robust analysis of the results. So you've got the graph there, but looking at, analyzing those results or something like that could be, yeah, so it does parallel. All right, so we are ready for a vote then.
Okay, so just to clarify, you are modifying it from a stipulation to an AFI with the rationale stating the EPP provided limited evidence demonstrating that completer satisfaction was systematically measured in relation to skills gained for job preparedness, and documentation of data analysis aligned with Cape Standard 4.3. And I can clean it up, but
Yeah, I think, I would say that the rest of that phrase doesn't fit as well as what we had said before about the analysis to analyze student performance.
Okay, so if we
candidate
said
performance.
the
or something like
EPP
that.
provided limited
The-
evidence demonstrating the
Yeah,
satisfaction was
over in the
systematically measured and lacked documentation.
Yeah, over in the stipulation, it says
Okay.
subsequent data analysis. I think that's all we're saying is
Okay.
that more data and then the subsequent data analysis aligned with the standard. But I do appreciate the analysis of process and figuring out and getting it up and running. So we're voting on that change to an AFI. Melissa, are you
Yes.
calling the names?
Yep. Okay. Jennifer,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Coletta.
Yes.
All right. Now we have 5.1, which was changed from a stipulation to an AFI from the site team.
Okay, committee, the floor is open for discussion. There was also something in the rejoinder elaborating on the continuous improvement cycle for this standard related to the AFI. Correct, Mac?
Yes, that's correct. Basically, in our rejoinder, all of the things the AAC has seen previously during our last meeting, some of the things, the assessment calendar, the components matrix mapping, the 4-year plans, all of those things that we've been cleaning up to kind of nail down our QAS. That was what was included in the rejoinder, the things that I showed you during our March meeting.
Discussion from the committee?
It's my thought is to really commend them for the progress that they've made, but to kind of say that it needs to be kind of continued for a little bit longer before an AFI would be removed, be my opinion.
Other comments? I would like to suggest that the systems that are in place are there now. The QAS actually is in place. And so it is back to having like a history, like we've talked about with the other ones. So the question is to what extent the standard has that expectation.
I think consistency is going to take time. And so if you, as you guys are considering this, I know it's a fairly new process. As Sue said, you're welcome to keep the AFI. If you want to clear it as it moves forward, that's okay too.
Okay, so I'm hearing no discussion, so I think we're ready for a vote. And right now you're voting, yes, you agree to keep the AFI as it is. And no is that you would have a different decision.
Okay.
We've got no
Jennifer.
word change.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we
Yep.
haven't suggested any word changes here.
So this is the way the site visit team put it forward. Jennifer.
Yes.
Okay. Jenny.
No.
Danny.
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Coletta.
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to 5.2.
My no
This
vote
was
is
a
out.
retained stipulation as well.
Yeah, and my no vote is because I do see the QAS in place. So I was going to, it was a positive no. For what it's worth. All right. Thanks for everyone's endurance here. We're ready for the next one. And patience with me as I click between my tabs. All right. So now we are on our 5.2, which is to retain the stipulation. And there's also a rejoinder discussion on this one. Any discussion from the committee?
I'm saying that, I guess my statement from the last one remains that I think they've done a great job of really making progress, but that it's still the validity and some of the measures that they've done have been really recent and need to be kind of carried through to really have the interpretations of data and things that this one requires.
So I didn't read in the rejoinder anything about validity and reliability. Have there been efforts to either trade out instruments for ones that are valid, or efforts to include reliability things? I mean, the rejoinder is addressing the low response rate.
Yeah,
Am I missing something, Mac?
yeah, towards the bottom of that rejoinder, one of the site team's findings was that our KYFFT crosswalk did not fully align with the state's teacher evaluation crosswalk and did not meet CAPE definitions of validity and reliability. So in response to that, our TAC group on March 18th approved the Kentucky approved teacher evaluation crosswalk, which ensures alignment with NTAS, KTS. And so we are making progress for that. I think I spoke on this. This is not in the rejoinder, but I spoke on it during our last AAC meeting, is looking at some externally validated instruments like that at Niagara, dispositions, and some other things that just being a small institution, kind of not reinventing the wheel and finding resources that work for other schools our size. So the answer is yes, but slower than we would like.
Right. The question is it stipulation, or is there enough movement to be an AFI? That's the committee's decision that has to be made. There's effort moving in that direction, but there isn't, evidence in place yet.
So the crosswalk that you're referring to, are you just talking about where the standards are identified in the table?
Yes.
Okay.
Where the KYF Kentucky
Right.
Framework for Teaching is connected to NTASC and using that in some of our evaluations.
So that just shows the standard alignment.
Correct.
Okay.
In essence, a validity check. Right. Melissa, any other questions from the committee?
Let me ask you, so when you're doing your standards alignment, you're not showing that to your evaluation documents, correct? You're not mapping the standards to your evaluation or your assessments yet.
With our Kentucky framework, we are. So, and I should know this off the top of my head, but I'm drawing a blank right now. But domain 4, how it connects to NTASC 9, NTASC 10, or NTASC 9 and 10, using that during some of our data days when we're looking at each of those domains for student teachers or practicum teachers using that tool.
So when you're observing there, I'm thinking back to our March conversation, other conversations, not what's in front of me right now. So when you're observing student teachers, you're using an observation protocol that has established reliability or validity, or no?
We're using the Danielson. Using the Kentucky Framework for Teaching, and that's part of why we adopted the teacher evaluation crosswalk, because it already connected to the Danielson.
Gotcha. And then from the site, and this is something that was not, I'm thinking about the site visit and what the site visit did not have a chance to look at these because they don't see those
We
instruments.
had attempted to create our own crosswalk and consensus, and a shame I did not know that there was already a Kentucky approved teacher evaluation crosswalk. And so when the site visit brought it to our attention, you know, it was something that we scrapped the one that we had done in consensus and we adopted the one that Kentucky had already approved. We were very close, but there were some that needed to change, and so we just adopted it in its entirety.
And that happened after the site visit.
Yes, it was. I think our site visit was February 24th, and our TAC meeting was March 18th.
So committee, we are voting on this standard, which is to remain a stipulation, or if this progress that's been made since the site visit would upgrade it to an AFI. Or clear it, for that matter.
Yeah. Downgrade it to an AFI or clear it.
Downgrade it.
We're not upgrading anything.
It seems like up would be better, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Well,
Like,
if that's the
I'm not sure.
philosophy.
Downgrade.
AFIs and stipulations are like golf. You want
like-
the lowest number.
It's like a threat level goes up, I guess. You want it to move down. Threat to program improvement, that is. All right. So we're taking a vote right now. Yes, keep it as it is. A no would mean that we would want to change
Well,
the,
we're gonna do it all at once. So
Okay.
if anybody thinks it should change from a stipulation to an AFI, so they made this change in March. And so Mac, are you utilizing that yet, or is that going forward in your next round? Like, did you utilize it at the end of the year or no?
Yeah, so we built it into Watermark with our current KYF FT that was already built in there. We just aligned it to match that crosswalk. So
Okay.
our data was a little bit funky because it was right in the middle of the semester.
So you have data for it. It's just, it would look a little weird because.
And we only had 2 student teachers this semester, so it's very, very small.
Okay. If that helps the committee, so they do have data, they changed this instrument, they have it in place, and they have data.
So I have one more question. Is that the only instrument you use to assess your students? Because the standard talks about to ensure interpretation of data that you're using relevant, verifiable, representative. So you've done that one evaluation. What about other types of assessment that you use with your teacher candidate?
So that's the only one that we've acted on so far. So the other things we have not enacted yet, like the move to the Niagara dispositions model, we've been playing around with the idea of the Ed TPA. And so we've been looking for some of those that are externally validated, but this is the only one that we've acted on so far.
Thank you.
So does anybody want to modify it from the stipulation to the AFI? So shall we call a vote for remaining a stipulation? Okay, Jennifer?
Yes.
Jenny?
yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Coletta?
Yes.
Mac, I may have said this when we talked about this in March, but we just we went through a huge process for dispositions assessment that's now been validated through multiple means. So if you want to take a look at
Yes,
it, you're welcome
and
to.
I think about that often, but I thought it would be improper to ask for it now. So as soon as
Well,
this is
no,
over, I'm gonna.
I forgot about it the next day, I'm sure, but anyways, I'm happy to share. We vetted it with our stakeholders and all those things, and then now we have a year under our belt, and we're happy with it so far.
So you can say Dr. Bay Williams approved. She's going to start stamping stuff. Okay.
No
All right,
pressure.
Mike.
I'm just saying that, like you said, why reinvent the wheel? I mean, we had one that was validated. We just weren't that happy with it based on our local context, which is different. Like we're in a urban context and we have, lots of things going on and we have a big program, but you could take a look at it and decide. And I'm guessing other people on this call have dispositions assessments that they've also, that happy to share.
Okay, 5.3, the site team moved it from a stipulation to an AFI.
Okay, any discussion from the committee? I feel like this is a well-written statement from the site visit team because the TIAC is busy and productive. And right now you're getting your system in place. So the committee is busy doing, looking at instruments and helping make sure those instruments are there, but not yet at looking at the, like program improvement. Like you're getting, I mean, it is program improvement to revise your instruments because then you get better data to improve your programs. But like what I didn't read in the rejoinder was something that might have changed within the programs and increased emphasis on something or decreased emphasis on something, something like that. Did I miss it, Mac?
One thing in the rejoinder was March 18th, we adopted EDU 201, its Foundations of Education. And so it was a response. A lot of our rejoinder hinges on being a small program and the lack of quantitative data and looking at qualitative. And so TIAC adopted that as a part of the official course sequence. And so what EDU 201 does is it combined Intro to Ed and Intro to Special Education into a single course so that our candidates get experience with diverse learners earlier, and not just in a classic setting, but with some of our community partners like Wendell Foster, Puzzle Pieces. And so this was acted on from some of that quantitative and qualitative data about diverse learners and that experience prior to EDU 201. Anybody who is not in special education, they may go a year or two without interacting with diverse learners. And so this is, at the very beginning, we're going to expose you to diverse learners and some of the diverse learners' needs and community programs. And so this is what TIAC adopted. And they also adopted we piloted the focus group questionnaire. They adopted that as well.
Okay, thank you. I do remember reading that like up earlier, or maybe connected to our standards. I just forgot it right here.
And both of those changes were after the site visit. Both of those were at our March 18th, our spring TIAC meeting.
Other comments from the committee or thoughts about this standard?
So we're voting in agreement with the site visit team for our 5.3 in the way that they have it written.
So could we discuss revising the rationale statement? Because what Mac is describing is evidence of external stakeholders informing program design.
Yeah, so they're saying, however, documentation does not consistently show how external stakeholders inform program design or evaluation materials. Do you want me to remove inform? Well, and I think that Mac was saying too in that same meeting that the evaluation decision would be the observation instrument. Yes.
Yeah, all of that happened during the March 18th where they adopted the crosswalk, EDU 201 and our completer focus group as a part of the program.
So what part of the rationale do we want to modify?
So I'm sitting here pondering, and it's hard to ponder publicly, and I want my committee to chime in, but I'm pondering removing this AFI because there is now evidence of program improvement. There isn't a history of it, but does the standard actually expect a history of it? Because then we're back at the same conversation that because they're initiating these things in response to our feedback to initiate them, and because they're, one thing relies on another, then all of them have to stay in AFI status for a period of time until they become, more embedded, they have a longer history. So I'm not sure how much the historical nature matters for the standard. I'm just not sure because I don't know this standard as well. So it goes back to that word consistently, because they now have evidence of two pieces of evidence from the March meeting. Is that sufficient? Or would it say something like, however, there isn't a history of examples of program design? Or that
I have a question for you that might help us clarify this. Do we have documentation, meeting minutes? Because it says documentation does not consistently show. We have from the rejoinder, there is a copy of TAC attendance, but is there a meeting minutes that show this occurred, or and you can correct me, Melissa, if I'm wrong, do we just take, or does it have to be documented?
I am looking. Mac, do you know if you submitted minutes to the TAC meeting for March?
I don't know if I did because they wouldn't have been approved yet. I know we submitted TAC meeting minutes for some of the other programmatic changes that were made, but I'm trying to pull it up
So
now to
this
see if I
one-
did.
This one could be forthcoming.
this
I
could be
will say-
forthcoming, and like a curriculum action, like you get the minutes, then you have a curriculum action that there's been a new course added, and then those two match up. Here's a came out of the committee, curriculum action and evidence.
And the original stipulation, just to read the language, it says, the EPP has not demonstrated that relevant internal and external stakeholders are included in program design, evaluation, and continuous improvement processes. So I think the question is, have they demonstrated that relevant internal and external stakeholders are included in program design, evaluation, and continuous improvement processes? So have they demonstrated that, I think, is what is the wording there.
Can I just ask a question, Melissa, real quick?
Mhm.
So the standard is continuous improvement processes, not necessarily evidence of continuous improvement, but evidence of a process for continuous improvement. Is that what it says?
It says program design, evaluation, continuous improvement processes.
Okay. So two different things. Okay, great.
The meeting minutes were not submitted in the folder, in the rejoinder folder. I did not submit those. But they will not
So they-
get approved until the fourth Wednesday of October.
So I think that what Mac has brought up is, and Mac, maybe you want to speak to this. So how the external stakeholders were included in design, evaluation, and continuous improvement. So design, your evidence from the rejoinder was, sorry, I'm going to ask you to clarify.
EDU 201 as a part
Thank
of
you.
the course sequence.
Evaluation,
All of the surveys and praxis data.
and then the continuous improvement. And I think what
Our matrix, all of our QAS supporting documents and things like that, those were all a part of March 18th as well.
okay, so and all of that will be demonstrated in the minutes that will be approved in October. So thank you. I just wanted to.
Okay,
Sometimes
so
we have to break things down. Sorry.
all right, so we need a vote committee. And so if you're I would again like to suggest that we could vote to remove this AFI or keep this AFI. There's clearly been progress away from the stipulation, I think, as the site visit found, but there's new evidence since, so that's what we're being asked. Have they moved forward enough to remove the AFI at this point, or does the AFI remain?
Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Of course.
Do you have in your QAS, and I didn't see this and it's probably in there, and you said October. Do you have that in there that you have a meeting every October and every April? So there's a consistent.
Yeah, so that was also something that TAC decided on. It's built into our assessment calendar. We do entrance to the program entrance to student teaching applications the first Wednesday of October and March. We have our sub-TAC meeting the second Wednesday of October and March, and we have our TAC meeting the fourth Wednesday of October and March. And that's where we make the final decisions on candidate progressions.
Okay, thank you. So I
Sorry,
see.
I said March. We changed it to February because I wanted it all done before spring break. So October and February.
So I see there's progress and they have a calendar of continuous. So I would recommend clearing that AFI.
Agreed.
I agree with that. So we're either voting on AFI, yes or no, or we're voting to clear it, yes or no. I'm looking at my committee faces. I can't get a read on. So Melissa, let's do a vote.
Or if we
Since
just have a
Jennifer's proposed
motion
clearing, what?
If you have a motion to clear the AFI, I think that's probably adequate.
Okay.
Okay, so you are voting to clear the AFI, and so 5.3 would be met. So Jennifer. Yes or no?
Yes.
Jenny.
It was her suggestion. I'm a yes. I'm a yes.
And sorry, I got to get my paperwork here. Danny.
Yes.
Sue.
No.
Coletta.
No.
Okay, it is cleared because 3 of the 5 voted for clearing it. So we will move on to 5.4, our 5.4.
Discussion? Okay, I think we are ready to vote on the AFI then as it's written.
Okay, Jennifer,
Yes.
Jenny,
Yes.
Danny,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Coletta.
Yes.
Hey.
So thank you for helping clarify things, Mac, Shannon, for the solid review originally, to the committee for you know, synthesizing the information from the rejoinder and the site visit. And huge progress has been made. So I hope that you see that movement. I guess it's down. It's
Downgraded from stipulations to AFIs.
But from the last review and how much work it has taken, I mean, it's noticeable how much work is taken, and the systems are in place. So the rest of it will, come along with time. Some of it, doesn't come along until you have, that up and running for a while.
So Jenny, the next thing is to vote on each standard. So you vote on standard 4 and 5. Your options are met with AFIs, or not met.
Okay, so for standard 4.
Standard 4, currently
we vote
it's
separately.
all AFIs. So there are AFIs in each standard, or in each component of standard 4. So let me go over here. Okay. Jennifer.
Met.
Jenny.
Met with AFIs.
Danny. You're muted, Danny. I don't.
Sorry, I was pointing out that Jennifer Neal was muted when she said something.
She added on with AFIs when she heard me say it,
okay.
because
Yeah,
that's actually,
sorry.
it's actually 3 choices. Met,
Yes,
met with
met with
AFIs,
AFIs.
not met.
Okay. So
So they have
Jennifer-
AFIs, so
Jennifer is
yeah.
met with AFIs. Jenny is met with AFIs. Danny.
Met with AFIs.
Sue.
Met with AFIs.
Coletta.
Met with AFIs.
Okay. So that will be what it is. Standard 5. We have let's see, we retained 1 stipulation, and we have 2 AFIs. So again, standard 5 can be met with AFIs and stipulations. So 1 stipulation does still allow for it to be met or not met. So met with AFIs and stipulations, or not met. Jennifer.
Met with AFIs and stipulation.
Jenny.
Met with AFIs and stipulations. Stipulation.
Yeah. Danny.
Met with AFIs and stipulation.
And Sue.
Met with AFI and stipulation.
And Coletta.
Met with AFI and stipulation.
That brings us to the accreditation decision. And your options with a probationary visit are to accredit or revoke. So if you you can accredit if all standards are met. You typically have to not meet a standard in order to revoke. But and then EPSB makes the final decision. So again, your options are accredit or revoke. Do you guys need to discuss? Okay. Jennifer.
Accredit.
Jenny.
Accredit.
Danny.
Accredit.
Sue.
Accredit.
Coletta.
Accredit.
Okay. The last thing is the program approval. And so the options with conditional program approval is you can either approve the programs or deny approval of the programs. And those are not based on 4 and 5. Those are based on what you guys asked them to do to meet the conditions was to do a report of progress every 6 months. And Russia had a representative at each of those meetings and then demonstrate evidence through the report. And they had various reports that they submitted with evidence. So I don't know if you all need to discuss.
I would say that the improvement and the forward momentum is really nice to see.
I agree. Sorry,
It's
I did.
no,
I
it's
thought you were
it's been a while, you know, in hoping that would come, and it's really nice to see that forward momentum. Congratulations to you guys on that. It's a big step forward.
So you have made huge gains in 6 months. It's very, very admirable.
Mr.
I
Webb has
agree.
not slept, so he's excited to take it out now.
Well, I agree. And also the systems are in place. Like I noticed just earlier, Mac didn't have to like go look at his calendar to see when those meetings were, which
Agreed.
is amazing. Like they're this week and that week or whatever. Like if the system is in place, they're working on the tools, they're working on the, you know, the pieces and the people, the tools and the people, so that then is huge progress, and it is time consuming. We all appreciate that. So huge progress has been made forward.
I agree. Lots of positive changes. Good job.
So program approval, it's like I said, it's either approval or denial of approval. So are you guys ready to vote? Okay. Jennifer?
Approval.
Jenny?
Approval.
Danny?
It'd be pretty harsh to vote denial after saying those nice things. Approval.
Sue?
Approval.
Coletta?
Approval.
Okay. Just to keep in mind, so these will be recommendations that come forward to the EPSB in June. I know that if anybody from the AAC wishes to attend that meeting, I know that Dr. Bay Williams will be gone. I can present the findings. Dr. Deaton and Mr. Webb will both be there. And I don't know if the other members of the Brescia team will be there or not, but the EPSB is the ones that make the final decision here. And so, but I know they and we really appreciate the AAC's diligence in going through all of the evidence and really being very intentional in looking at how you can evaluate those things. And then to the Brescia team and especially Mac, I'm going to give you big kudos because coming in and having to do all of that work, you are you're pretty amazing to do that. And I know that Brescia is fortunate to have you, as I'm sure they know. So does anybody else have anything they would like to add before we wrap up?
I would just like to say a huge thank you to Melissa, who supplies us with all of these reports to read. So she is the great conductor of all this information. And then to the committee, we had quite a bit to review for this meeting. We also moved this meeting up, Mac. We found that we had to move our meeting up a month to get, you know, the people here. But it's also, you know, carving out the time to really give a good review is, and this is a great committee. I'm really grateful to the thoughtfulness that has gone into the review and feedback to all the institutions that we reviewed today. But in particular, Brescia, because we've been looking at the early standards, and now we also, you know, looking at the late standards, the site visit. So grateful to that. And then to Brescia for your ongoing efforts to demonstrate what you're doing and to truly do continuous improvement. I know that term gets tossed around like an accreditation compliance word, but we are all trying to always make ourselves better.
And
Yeah,
I want to say,
go ahead.
go ahead, Mac.
Well, I was just going to say on behalf of Brusha, we appreciate you guys and the work you put into it, understanding some of the frustrations at times with what was being put forward. And we really appreciate you guys taking the time to be diligent with everything that we presented and just the guidance that you've given us over these past, 18, 24 months as we're getting things back on track.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you for your patience. I know that developing trust on a move like this for us, going from where we were to where we are now, from a leadership position and from how this was all administered, takes a level of trust, and it doesn't work without good partners like Melissa, who really, I think, sees the end game of creating great teachers for our Kentucky marketplace, who needs them. That she sees that and not what we've done in the past, but what we can contribute if we do it right. And I really appreciate that, Melissa. You've been a real friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, and Dr. Deaton, 2 site visits in 6 years. I don't know what your life looks like without Brusha on your calendar. So you may still have to meet with Mac on occasion just to get your Brusha fix.
Yeah,
The Chili's in Frankfurt on June 21st.
There you go.
So
Can I also say thanks to Lexi?
yes,
Lexi will make all things happen, and she just so quietly just does that work brilliantly and quietly in the background. So I
yes.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Lexi is invaluable. If anything happens to her, I'm also out the door. So
I hope that the minutes say awkward silence while we read in each time.
Oh my gosh.
know
I mean,
that's
our meeting
awful for
is
you
now
guys.
at 3 hours and 9
Yeah.
minutes. Okay, minus the 15-minute break. But if you have a way to edit where all quiet times are condensed, it would be less. I hope that wasn't too much wait time. It's hard to facilitate a meeting like this when you can't see if people are ready or not. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
all right.
Thank
Well, I
you
think
to
the
you
only
too,
thing is
Jenny.
you have to call to close the meeting.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
And
Jennifer seconded.
And everybody who's in favor.
Bye, guys.
Non-voters,
And
you want to vote?
Congratulations, Brusha.
Congratulations, Brusha.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.